if you do something every day for like more than an hour, it's a new category.
Yep.
And we're just scratching the surface of this area. My dad said, like, I'm not your father, like, never think of me as authority. You can call me by my name, and I'm gonna call you by your name, and like, you can do anything you want. We were just kicked out of all universities and schools by security guards every single day in the cold winter, like 2 of us.
Hello everyone, this is once again Silkroad Podcast. Silkroad Podcast is a podcast about wonderful founders, wonderful people working in tech and beyond in Silicon Valley, from Central Eurasia, Central Eurasia, the larger region. The region being, including Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Turkey, and Mongolia. So we've had the pleasure to talk with wonderful founders during the first season of Silkroad Podcast. On the second season, we started off with interesting people working in tech, doing interesting things. We talked with Danyar Yedzenov of Rippling, and recently we talked with Beginch Amangliziev from Turkmenistan. Now, today we have a wonderful, a beautiful guest, originally from Kazakhstan, Ada Kussainova. Ada, welcome.
Yeah, it's me. Thank you for welcoming me here, Asrar.
Welcome. Welcome, Ada.
Thank you, Asrar. Finally, we got a chance to sit down and talk.
Yeah, it's been long overdue podcast conversation. Ale, you live in Seattle for a long time.
Let's
start with, and you recently moved to Silicon Valley.
Yes.
Let's start with the reason. Why did you move to Silicon Valley?
Absolutely. Well, I spent several years, something like 6 years, I believe, in Seattle. You know, for job, it's capital of gaming, and I just loved it there. But you know, it's actually very personal in a way, because I came to United States with like one mission and one vision. And that was kind of a long time ago. And I was like 12 or 13 years ago, to build a very meaningful startup that's going to make a big difference in the world and help Kazakhstan. And I think I was very lonely in that vision in a way, because for 10 years, there were not a lot of people that I would meet who would be, as passionate as me about this vision. And when Silkroad Innovation Hub opened, I was just curious. My friend Bayram, thank you, Bayram, said you have to stop by. And I did. And I entered the building and I saw Asrar, right? Yep. I was like, Asrar, what is it about? And I just saw Asrar just sit down and for 5 minutes, told me exactly what I was telling myself for the past 10 years about the vision for the region, about vision for the talent, and about we have to make the moves and waves here. And I just felt like, oh my God, it's coming home, it's finding your tribe. And yeah, I just packed my belongings and said, yeah, I gotta be there.
Okay, so what's the vision for you? What's the vision that brings you to Silicon Valley that you can describe? Doesn't have to be short. We can take the long routes.
Yeah. So I don't know, I guess I'm influenced by the history of our region and also by the history of my parents and my grandparents. And I think to me, one of the most, probably the most bright memory in my life is the day when we gained our independence. That's that. And I just remember, I'm 6 years old. I remember my dad on the table dancing with my mom. And my dad is a person who never dances, right? And just how happy we were about that. And then we went on things okay, let's imagine the first flag for the country. Let's imagine what our hymnus is going to look like. Okay, let's dream about the bright future. And I think that part of me that we have to do now, this generation, there is a lot of responsibility for this generation to build up a country, right? So that was my internal motivation throughout my whole school years and college. And so basically at some point, like I studied in school, then I studied in university, and I studied international relations economy. And then I was like, oh, what do I do next? Right. And I was like, you know, always in debate competitions and like association of young leaders, like a lot of public activity and like a lot of, I guess, leadership activities that I've been involved with. And at some point I realized like, I literally was asking myself, what can I do to help this country the most? Like, where can I use my talents? Or like, where can I dedicate myself? And I saw that probably like going for government is one big option, right? But then I saw there are so many very talented people going to government. For example, like everyone I knew at debate competition was like, I'm going to be next president. Like, oh, that's a lot of next presidents here. I'm like, okay, well, what can I do to bring something meaningful? And I was always very inspired by like entrepreneurs and I guess capitalism and what private market can do for the country. And I thought that's something, where I can actually make a big difference. So I don't know, was very, not naive, but like very idealistic that I'm going to go to America. I'm going to build a company that's going to sell goods or services that's going to be in every house, everywhere in the world. And Kazakhstan is going to be secure forever. Kind of, that was the thinking. So yeah, I graduated. I spent a little bit of time in Italy because I got some scholarship. And I worked on my startup in Kazakhstan. And after I sold it, I'm like, okay, now it's the time.
Yeah.
So that's really the vision. I don't know if I no, you describe it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this. I kind of feel like what was I thinking about? Looking back, and it's like, it's not a very usual way for a young person of 15,
Yeah.
16 years of
I
age.
think so too. I think on one side, this decision was very structured. Right?
Yeah.
Like what is the asymmetry in the country from talent perspective? Where can I hedge the country from the best side? But from the other side, it's very naive decision. Like, yeah, I'm going to go and build it and make it happen.
Yeah. Really interesting. On this wonderful note, let's move back to the beginning, where you all started.
Yeah.
And you are from Kazakhstan?
Yes.
Which city?
I was born in Almaty.
Okay.
And we moved to Astana.
Okay. All right. You went to some sort of a specialized school?
I went to public school.
Okay.
But then there was some lyceum class where they just select the best students from the class. And there was like 8 of us in the beginning. Yeah, I was studying in Kazakh. And at some point, I think teachers decided that, okay, there is Russian classes have lyceums where they get the best students. And we should organize something like this to kind of separate students who study really well and advanced studies and the rest of it. And I was selected to be in a little bit advanced school, but it was free in a way. It's still part of the public school.
So it's a merit-based selection.
Exactly.
Out of the public schools when the country says, let's select the couple of students from dozen.
Something like that.
And give a specific specialized education, maybe. What was it? Was it sort of a different? Were there better teachers or?
It was the same teachers.
Oh,
we just were 8 of us. So obviously that made a big difference. And but I think what affected what I'm more grateful for is that I was part of the public school. So I saw, I was on the ground, right? I was, it wasn't a special lyceum. I was really with everyone else. And I think with seeing older, goods and bads, that's what's happening in minings.
I just want to, the topic is in and of itself interesting for me, specifically, what happens when you, because there's a peer learning process, right?
Yes.
You learn from whoever surrounds you. Yes. So if you get, regardless of their background, the best of the best at their level, there's a peer learning leads everyone to certain outcomes.
That's true.
So, tell me what happens after the school. Where do you go from there?
So yeah, and I went to university. In school I was, I think, like very active, as I said. I did like the debate competitions and Association of Young Learners and like many other activities. And, I guess another thing about school, I think like my dad played a big role about, like he spent a lot of time with me, thinking about my education, how I perceive the world, I guess.
What did you do specifically? Like, how should, like, because I'm a father of two young and beautiful daughters. Like, let me crack the code. Like, how does it work? How to bring up the next generation of others?
I really can talk for hours about my dad. My parents had me when they were young, like, 21, 22. And I was the first grandchild and the first child. And I think my dad said, like, I'm not your father. Like, never think of me as authority. You can call me by my name, and I'm going to call you by your name. And, like, you can do anything you want. Like, very hippie kind of. They were very hippie, both of my parents. And what he did, like, he taught me everything. He taught me English. He taught me swimming. And he really was like, let's explore what you want to do. Like, it's like, oh, one day I want to be a journalist. Like, he'll organize something, so I'll try myself as a journalist as like a 10-year-old. Okay, what do you want to do next? So it was like that. And I think the best thing that I think I want to pass towards towards the next generation, hopefully, is he was really about like contrarian thinking and critical thinking. So we'd like take long walks, and he'll be like, okay, I'm Aristotle, you Socrates. Like, let's break it down. Like, let's debate.
Okay.
Let's think what do you think about, what's the difference between a human and a horse? Let's talk about that. And we'll start talking about like subjects like this from her.
Okay. What's your dad's background?
My dad is actually not a businessman. He's in academia, and they like my mom is a business person. So I learned a lot from her too. But my dad is like a very theoretical person.
Okay.
An abstract thinker.
So far, if I understood the formula, give her the independence, explore her worldview, what she wants, support her in what she wants, and talk with her.
I think like incredible belief. He had incredible belief, and he really thought like that I am capable of anything. And he also was always questioning like the, I guess, horde thinking.
Okay.
At his entire life.
All right. Great. So you graduate university, you go to school, you go to university. Did you know who you wanted to be?
Wasn't that sure. Yeah.
Wasn't
that sure. Yeah.
So,
like I knew I wanted to create a business.
Okay.
I think that part, because again, my mom is an entrepreneur, and I think I was always like my mom has bookstores, and I spent a lot of time reading about, I naturally gravitated reading about entrepreneurs, like Walmart, how Walmart was built, like Southwest, there are books about that, or like Rockefeller. It's like, oh wow, this is, yeah.
So before going to university, you would be reading about the founder of Walmart.
For sure. That was was like so inventive.
Okay. Yeah. That's great. So you didn't know what you wanted to do, but you were sure as early as towards the end of graduation of school, before going to university, you somehow knew that you wanted to be
I was in between to be an artist or an entrepreneur. Okay. This is
it's like two extremes.
Yeah.
That's so great. So did you, what happened after that? Where did you go to university?
I went to Eurasian National University, and I studied international relations.
Good. Still in Kazakhstan.
Yes.
Okay, international relations. You wanted to explore, or was it?
So my English wasn't that good in school, I think. So I wanted to learn languages, and I was always interested in history. And I guess, that's what I did.
Okay. So international relations that
But
you were,
like, honestly, thinking about it, it wasn't like a very thought out choice.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't like, because I was, good at math, like good at other things. So like, it kind of happened that way.
Yeah. like,
Yeah.
bear with me on this
Yeah.
thought, because like I talk with many representative of younger generation now for like, I would imagine like 15, some are like 12
Mhm.
to maybe 20 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And some of them give brilliant ideas
Uh-huh.
that like closer to school, the new generation, many of them, they know who they want to be,
Yeah.
or there's some kind of a proper answer, like like who you want to be. They would say, hey, this and that,
Yeah.
because of this, and this.
Mhm.
And I think back,
Yeah.
what was I thinking about when I was making a choice?
Uh-huh.
I cannot remember. Like,
Yeah.
not because like I was provided the same freedoms, but no one discussed with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
Same. No one that like, I guess it was the world was changing so much during this time, in, that part of the world in Central Asia.
Okay.
And what was like super cool, like, my dad is in physics and like, let's do physics. Like, okay, if you study physics, what you're going to do in Kazakhstan, right? So like, no one knew what to do in this country exactly at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think we all been through that, right? Nothing is really established, and we're just making the most uneducated fact. Yeah. So for me, it was like, okay, looks like there are cool people going to this program. I want to try it myself.
Yeah.
Let's
Sounds
see where
good.
it goes.
Yeah. 1 second. If you look towards that side more,
Yeah.
so it's the
Maybe I'll just sit a little bit like that.
feather zoom.
No. All right.
Да.
I'll be doing it like this.
Да. Нет, иногда можно как бы в паузу смотреть, а
Yeah.
так в основном в эту
Oh,
сторону.
okay, gotcha.
Да. Звук лучше записывается. Okay. So now can we move on to the US story? Because
Absolutely.
is it right around the time when we started US journey? Well, how did it happen? What was the motivation behind coming to US?
Yep.
Were there a gap between? Did you work in Kazakhstan? What was your experience?
I started my first startup
Okay.
at like 21. That's what I was thinking. I was like,
Already?
okay, yeah, I gotta be entrepreneur. That's my biggest, like literally, that's the biggest contribution I can make to Kazakhstan. I gotta learn how to be an entrepreneur. And I met this amazing co-founder, Kussainova. Thank you for everything. She studied in Turkey. She already did her MBA in Turkey. And she was just so like super forward thinking, super progressive, and like one of the like most hardworking people in the world. And we kind of liked working together, like hanging out together, and we started brainstorming ideas and things like that. And yeah, we started a business very early on. And then I guess when I went to business school, they started talking about like what you're not supposed to do as a business. And I'm like, we did everything, literally everything that they say not to do.
Okay.
So it was definitely like, somehow
Can you think of a couple of examples of what you should not have been?
I was like, we were building features, or we were like building one business after another, like on top of each other, like without really scaling something, right? Like it was just, incredible. So like we didn't distinguish between product and, service, whatever. We just did. We thought, wow, this is a great idea. Let's do it.
So what was the first product about? What was your first setup about?
It was about photography. We wanted to be one step everything for photography. So we went to universities and schools to sell photography. So like if you do class portraits, we did it digitally. So you can pick things digitally. No, it's something. And then we're like, okay, this old stuff is so boring. We're going to do modern ways.
Yes.
And I remember selling, like it was my first, I guess 22's first sales experience.
What?
Like first, I don't know, like 4 months or so, we were just kicked out of the whole universities and school by security guards every single day in the cold winter, like 2 of us. But eventually we got our first deal, and then like everyone was working with us.
Yeah.
And then we did build, we were we were launching different type of businesses in like photography space.
Yeah. Did you sell the business?
Yes, we sold it. Basically, that's how I'm like, oh, this is, with this, I can probably move to America.
Oh, so from there was an American plan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There was an American plan to
Yeah. That was the hope that I would gain enough finances to move to America and hopefully go to business school.
Okay. So where did the business school idea come from? Like, so you're doing a startup. At what point do you think, yeah, I don't know enough, or for this and this reason, I have to go to business school?
Good question. That's really hard to understand. Where did it come from, this idea?
Yeah, because like if you're building a startup, we've seen so many startups for the past, I think, months or two. We have a bunch of startups who came for our Chemist X program, a bunch of other startups who came to Silicon Valley residency program at Silkroad. Many of them maybe they have MBAs, maybe they don't. Most of them don't, I would imagine. They're continuing to build.
Yeah.
But for you, it was important, or was it important that you do a graduate degree, an MBA, and not from any school? You went to Kellogg. What was the motivation behind it? When did you thought, hey, I should do this next? Because
I think I was listening to like business school podcast on YouTube while I was working on my startup. And I think I saw panels from Stanford entrepreneurs. And I'm like, this is...
You're like 21, 22-year-olds, listening to Stanford podcasts. Yeah.
Well, I was also thinking about, like, again, these businesses. I don't remember exactly businesses that was inspired, like, Facebook, one of them, but like, I'm like, okay, if I can build a company that makes $2 billion a year in revenue, how would it affect Kazakhstan? What can I do with this money? And I was thinking, that's possible if I go to business school.
Okay. Yep. Great. Thank you so much. So tell me about the application process for the business school. It's really interesting because Kellogg is a wonderful school, top tier. Not many students from our part of the world can get in there. Tell me, reasoning, why did you apply to Kellogg? How did you get in? What did you share them in your essays?
Honestly, like, essay is fine. I actually, now kind of embarrassing. I was struggling with GMAT at that point. I think
because you went to graduation, you didn't study mathematics.
I mean, no, math. My math was like, for GMAT, it was perfect from my school, because my school was like advanced. But I don't know, like, I did once, and then I was like, all right, this is the first time I tried. I did this, like, started hard, and then 3 months later, did in the second one, and the score was below the first one. Like, okay, this is downward trend.
That's
what's happening.
Kicking the guts.
Yeah. Did you do GMAT?
No, I didn't have to. It's like lawyers, lucky.
So I know for a lot of people, like, for me, probably right now it's gonna be easier. But back then I was like maybe I won't be able to get, because you have to get top 90 percentile in the world, and it was hard. Like, it's embarrassing, but I did it like 7 times. And one time I even went to Kyrgyzstan to do my test, because I was already, like, everything was filled up in Kazakhstan.
So lucky you had the money from the business.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But eventually I did, and I was accepted to Kellogg.
You got into one of the top universities, doing MBA. Tell me about the process, because like MBA seems like if you talk to different founders, and they tend to tell you different things about, do we need an MBA? Do we not need an MBA? What do you think? Does the startup founder?
For me, it was 1,000 times worth it. Primarily because of people who studied with me. Like, I'll tell you, like, I got accepted to Kellogg, and I was thinking, like, I should do my next route. There's like Stanford or something like that. So like thinking about different options. And then I had a buddy. There's like Kellogg buddies, so a student who is older than you and is going to be talking to you. And that was George Corden. George Corden ever listens to this podcast. He is like the best. That helped me make the best decision of my life. Oh my God, this person. Like he had incredible experience at hedge funds. Like he literally like I wouldn't say the king, but what he told me, what he did in Wall Street was just like extremely fascinating. And then after Kellogg, he went to gaming. So he was at Microsoft, like doing acquisition of Minecraft. Like what can be cooler than that? Right? Like where else can I get an experience like that and I have like peers like that around me?
So the guy used to work at Wall Street, then did an MBA a year ahead of
Went
you.
to Microsoft and like was
responsible for M&A of Minecraft.
Yeah.
That's where the motivation for you to go after gaming?
So I guess it was part of it, but what I wanted to say is like, this is the type of people you hang out with. Like you're thinking about business and about what's possible. It just becomes, it's an incredible learning.
You're an average of like a 5-person
Exactly.
surrounds you.
Exactly.
Were there a lot of people in the gaming industry surrounding you?
No,
not
that many.
All right. That's great. So tell me about like your experience studying for MBA. Because one of the stories which I remember from MBA class, I like to do my master's degree at Stanford University, my law degree. And the first, I see, was it rumor? Did we read somewhere that it was the fact that a bunch of MBA students, as soon as they arrived, it was like just after the COVID and some of the COVID restrictions were not still off. What they did at the start of the summer, as soon as they arrived to United States or they started school, the first weekend they chartered the plane. They flew somewhere abroad.
We definitely had all of that.
And got sick with COVID, came back, got quarantined, and that was a story. So you shared lots of things like this. Like MBA is for most of the people is a party place.
100%, yeah. So like before school started, we had a trip, like you must do kind of international trip with like 20 of your classmates. And I picked Amazing Race, which is like, they put you in a plane and you don't know where you're going.
Oh.
And you're going to be racing. It's a competition.
How?
Yeah.
Racing?
There is a program called, like a show on TV called Amazing Race. Like teams and you have to figure out something in a new city.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we did. So we went to Czech Republic, Germany, and Sardinia, I believe. And like every day we didn't know where we were going.
Wow.
It was intense from everything. So yeah, that's, I guess, the experience. Then winter break comes and ski trip comes. And that's like, you go to Aspen, you go to Breckenridge, and because Kellogg is such a strong reputation. Again, the sponsors, like everyone wants to sponsor this trip. So I like McKinsey, Amazon, everyone's sponsoring, and it is just lavish, the most lavish resort you'll ever be. And and the whole resort is for Kellogg. Like everything, they had like how do you call it? Like ice sculptures saying Kellogg around the resort.
Was it post the financial crisis?
2000, 13, 15. Yeah, it was like good years.
Is it still happening? Like, do I have to go to the business school?
And a lot of things like this where it's, and then we went to Cuba for the next break, I guess, like the spring break.
Like, we're talking just the first year?
Yeah, just the first year.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course, the companies that reach out to you, they just have like your directory, your resume. And, like I would never think that, like hedge funds would say like, oh, this is interesting person. We want to interview her. Boom, you're there.
Okay.
This is, it's really definitely worth it.
Interesting. Really interesting. I heard the story, like I heard that like hedge funds, like the quant trading firms, they specifically pay like up to 50,000 for like university professors or university PhD students who are doing something in physics, like mathematics, and really complicated stuff. They pay them huge amounts so that they just attend their interviews. But like, I didn't hear this side of the story when the companies would sponsor MBA students to come and interview for them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a lot.
Sure,
Yeah.
there was a. Does it still happen?
I'm sure, because we had again in Chicago, and there are museums. There is aquarium in Chicago, and we'll have a party in the aquarium. The whole aquarium is going to be for us, or like in the whole museum. The whole museum is going to be for us, and it's all sponsored.
Yeah. So if you're listening, take notes. Come to MBA. You're in MBA. How important all those things? Like, there's study, of course, but there's this part where everybody concentrates. The reason for you to go to an MBA is not mainly to get certain academic knowledge, but for you to socialize, network, make lifelong friends. Some of them might go end up as a partner in a VC firm. Some of them might end up in a hedge fund, private equity fund, who might be useful when you're selling your company at a later stage.
Yeah. I think I wasn't that pragmatic about it. It's like, but I'm a very curious person. So I was learning as much as I can. What about, business and media? What are the unit economics? What are the drivers? How you think about it? Again, gaming is another thing. It's hard to really tackle unless you in gaming. Definitely peer was the biggest learnings.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. Can you tell me one or two the most interesting characters, the most interesting people who you studied?
Yeah, I think like George Clooney is one of them. I just like I like entrepreneurs, you see. I don't know if I am allowed to say them, but yeah, I was an entrepreneur, not only building a startup, but like we went hiking together and like, things like this. The perseverance, like you dying, your shoes are off, and he'll like fix them up and go forward. Like some intense people, and I like intense people.
Yeah, thank you. So, business school. What do you think the most important lesson, the course in the curriculum, or an event that happened, or the course you took that affected you, your life, your career? Can you name a?
Probably want to say two things.
Yeah.
One is, I graduated in managerial decision making and data science. Right? So kind of data immediately was something that I really liked, the classes in data. And I think me and the professor, we spent a lot of time. And I think that's part of the reason I started, like my second startup was in AI space, but not, so I started the second startup while I was at Kellogg called Inju. And it was in AI space because I could understand and I could talk to people who were building AI or machine learning at that point. So I think that part definitely helped me. And the second is just my professor of entrepreneurship, Carter Cast, is just an amazing professor and a human being.
So professor had an impact on you. And you mentioned your startup.
Yes.
You started your startup, the second startup. The first one was in Kazakhstan, connected with the books, the albums, the photo, the printing, and the school's photography. Yeah. You sold your startup, and immediately, while you were at Kellogg, you started your startup.
That's correct.
Did you find the co-founders there?
Yes, that's the reason I started my startup.
Yeah. Tell me about Inju. What was it?
Yeah.
How did you came to the idea of starting this company?
So Inju was AI powered. energy efficiency software for commercial real estate. So for real estate investment trusts, a lot of acronyms.
Yeah.
And the reason we started, I had two co-founders. My co-founder, my first co-founder, Arturo, he spent a lot of time in utilities and kind of in the real estate, managing energy business for real estate. And my second founder, Shashwat, he was just like a brilliant engineer. And and they were both not in business school, they were in engineering school. And I felt like they're the most brilliant people I could work with. And I became a CEO. That's startup. That's startup. And of course, the whole, again, right now we're talking about AI. It's the most generative AI. At that point, it was another AI wave, but it was more about like computer vision. It's like it was just starting the frontiers of computer vision, and then sound, and then a lot of applications, I guess, in manufacturing and energy efficiency. And I just saw how this technology could be applied for, large case real estate investment trusts.
So we're talking 2015,
15. Yes.
As early as 2015.
Yeah.
That's almost the same time as OpenAI started. Like, was it 12, 13?
Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, around that time. So you had an idea, maybe at the same time as OpenAI started.
Yeah, idea was my co-founders.
Okay.
But, I was the CEO and a business person behind.
Okay.
Like that, sure.
How does it happen? How do you find your co-founder at the university? Does he come to you? Do you go to your co-founder?
I was just doing like startups and helping other startups. People having ideas, I would be helping them. Like, okay, how do we sell, bride, like clothing for brides? I'm like, okay, let's think through this. So I was in school just helping people, I guess. And we met in one of the classes and started talking about this business idea.
So many people, when they go to business school, I would imagine majority, and so like statistics may be different for Stanford, maybe, but in many business school, like during their studies, they look for a job, apply for a job, do summer internship, summer associateship, and then land the permanent position after doing MBA, while you were at school helping your course mates sell their products, services, doing their startups. What you doing?
Yeah, I was not. I came here with a mission.
Okay.
I came here to build a $1 billion business. Like literally, that was the reason I came to America. Because I really, really like Kazakhstan, and I have amazing family, and I miss all my relatives a lot. And I think there are a lot of opportunities in Kazakhstan. But this is something that I thought there is no time to waste. I have to do that.
Wonderful. You're like, I admire people such as yourself, because you're second or third person who says, when we discussed the topic, one of the founders, which I talked before, when I asked him like, oh, this business was going really great. Why didn't you continue it? You could have grown it to like certain levels. And I said like, oh, that's not why I came to the United States. Like, I came here to build a multi-billion, multi-million, multi-billion dollar company. Yeah, such a refreshing, such a unique approach.
Thank you, Asro.
And like standing it on what you believe in. And
thank you, Asro.
Yeah,
definitely.
All right. So, what happened with the company? What happened with Inju?
So I think the product was amazing. We were building a great product. And initially through, I guess, so the long story short, I decided that for the company, I'm probably not the best CEO at a certain point.
Okay.
Even though like team really loved me and things were going well. And for me, probably to build $1 billion product, it probably shouldn't be Inju. And the reason I think the big part of it was like building a product, which I love, working with engineers and things. And another part was sales. And I think our initial sales were good because my co-founder had a lot of connections, but then it was really selling to like large corporations.
Okay.
And I think me being straight from Kazakhstan was just not like the best idea, right, to sell it to very large corporations. And this is something I didn't think through. And then didn't think a lot because I was just really fascinated by people and the product. So I decided to step down.
Okay.
And I went into gaming. So
You did. That's
where my game journey starts.
That's where gaming journey start. That's you start. So you left the company. What happened to the company after all?
It existed for a while, but then it's disintegrated, I guess.
Probably because you were.
We're still really good friends with the teams.
Okay.
Really brilliant, yes.
So
But it definitely was an incredible experience, right?
Yeah.
Like first being able to work on AI products, like swipe right in business school.
Yeah, like as early as 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, you leave Inju, you go on to start your own company.
I went and worked for, I decided this, like, I wanted to start the company right after business school, but then I realized, I need some experience in American corporate.
Okay.
To build a company here. And I have to manage talent and things like this. So it was a strategic decision to go to work. And I thought, okay, my previous company in Kazakhstan, the company was probably like between 20 to 30 people, somewhere in this range. And I thought, okay, the next company, I want to work for something like 100 people. And I want to see what it's like to work for a startup that has 100 people. So I picked a gaming company that had 155 people and was generating a lot of revenue. I think I'm not allowed to say exactly, but it's like below $1 billion, but more than 100 million. Okay. So like for 100 people, it's a lot of money per person. It was already bought out. It was already, it was acquired and it was part of the public company.
Oh, okay. Acquired by a public company.
Yeah.
So you joined.
I joined it and then we took it private.
Oh,
sold it. That was like part of that. Interesting story.
Wonderful.
It's doing.
Okay. So, what was your role at the gaming company?
I started as a senior PM. I quickly became lead PM and then became head of product.
Okay. So where does it come? Like what roles did you apply to? Why become a product manager?
Oh, well, I thought, like product manager is, I think what I'm good at. I think that's what I've been doing in my first startup, product management and sales and strategy. And if you want to build a company, you're going to be great at that. And I think this role was that. It was, product management and strategy.
So one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you during this second season of our podcast is that like we know you. Many of us know you as a brilliant product manager. First of all, head of product, you had massive experience. And one of the things that our region lacks, I think, is that we have lots of talented engineers in the United States, very wonderful work, but we don't have that many product managers. We don't have that many people of non-tech, non-engineering backgrounds.
Maybe it's not that bad.
What's the reason for what do you think is the reason? Like, for you, first of all, for you to choose that career, and the fact that not many people choose that career, or especially from our region, or not many people from our region, not many product managers from our region do not reach certain levels, or.
Yeah. Well, I think I was very lucky with those choices, like choosing this company. It was a startup, so I had a lot of influence in a way, not startup, but like 100 people organization. And I was very lucky because my manager was another immigrant, Andrea Moro. Thank you very much if you ever listen to this for all the support. He was a Stanford MBA and he's Italian. I speak a little bit of Italian. And he just had a lot of faith in me too. Like I'm just from Kazakhstan. I never worked in or American corporation. And she gave me the most difficult projects and like the most visible difficult projects right away, pretty much. And I think I was also very lucky because this company is a really, really unique place. It's a platform, a gaming platform where you will release a new game every 2 weeks. So it's incredible, like from production perspective, it's top notch, right? It's like you have to plan things so you do release a new game every 2 weeks. It's an amazing place to learn how to make software and how to make games because of usually you make game 3 years or 10 years, and we have to build a new, like, of course, it's small games, it's like more casual games, but we build it every 2 weeks, we release a new one. So that's like production learning was incredible, and like learning how to build high performing teams was incredible. And I think the second part was because of the data. Part of my job was like figure out which games are going to be successful, which not. Because some games going to be making $20 million first week, and others like $2 million. And how do you think about it? So I did a lot of data analysis. That was my specialty. And I built hypotheses, and then eventually I built a strategy about this is how we should work on our portfolio to optimize the revenue. So I think that data, that I had a lot of experience with different types of games, also gave me like overview of how to think about building games. And again, a lot of data, and it's just heaven from A/B testing, because you start to test in the morning and the evening has statistically significant results. That's like 4 million users daily. So for me, it was like a candy shop from a product perspective. I think maybe I'm answering this question from the perspective. I think the fact that I really like data and that part helped me be a really good product manager from the beginning.
Okay.
And another thing about this startup or about this company is, so we had.
We can tell the name, right?
Yeah, it's called DDI.
Okay.
So we took it private and sold it to a Korean company. And another great experience was like, how do you think about selling something? Like
the process.
How do you think about your EBITDA? How do you think about your growth numbers? Like we had to make it work to be able to sell and have several bidders. And just being, again, from Kazakhstan early on, being on the table for decisions like that, it was just incredible experience.
Well, what was your position when you were on the tables discussing those things?
Head of product.
Head of products.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And then another thing, I guess, from also gaming. So we had like casual games, and we had casino games. So we had like specific licenses for like the most with IGT. IGT produces 80% of slot machines in the world. At least back then, that was like, so it's like the major slot machine producer that creates games for casinos, right? And then part of my job was like analyze the data and see why people, really like one game, let's say casino game. And the casino is like incredibly interesting world in the way that you don't know why people playing it. Like one game is going to be like buffaloes jumping on you. Another game is same game, but it's like birds singing, and one game does incredibly well and another doesn't. So it's very deep research on psychology and brain chemistry. So like we literally looked at the eye movements and how people react to a gameplay. And I think that gave me very like fundamental understanding of, again, the psychology behind gaming and what we call like game ride, which is the hardest thing in gaming. Like how do you make the game right so you go along with the game?
Okay. Sorry, if this is a too simple of a question, can you walk me through the usual day of a head of product in a gaming company? Like, what do you do? Maybe the most interesting day when you bring people, give them the computers, make them play, put on the cameras. What are you like?
Yeah. I can tell you maybe like kind of a week, right?
Okay.
So I manage product managers. I manage data analytics, and I manage designers, game designers.
Okay.
So that was head of product reported to like the two head of product, these organizations. So every day I have a stand-up, which we have a lot of fun. There are a lot of funny stories,
especially
I guess,
from gaming company.
Yeah. Then like end of the week we have a postmortem. We'll talk about things or shipping, shipping or postmortem. We're either shipping something or talking about what worked or didn't work. Then I have separate meeting with game designers. Game designers usually very, very kind of passionate and creative. So part of the job for me is to again, like have a strategy how to be disciplinedly creative, like creative but the same disciplined from business perspective. And from product perspective, I really love product management and I really love like building up strong products. So we had very experienced product managers and very new product managers, and like building up the discipline is, I think, is one of my passions when it comes to product. So product is in a way making bets, right? Like you think about what features gonna work for a user, and if they say like if you make 5 decisions and if you make 2 good decisions out of 5, like you're not the good product manager. If you make 3, you're good. If you make 4, you're amazing. If you make 5 out of 5, you're terrible. Then you make all the obvious decisions. So it's like you take a risk. But again, you think very strategically about it. Day-to-day gaming is also a special place, I think, from product. So we do play a lot of games.
You do?
At work. Yeah. Or we have like late night, big, like competitive game. Or I just like play Magic Gathering, right? Like some play board games at all times. I think that's how we discuss games. We do crazy, not crazy thing, but like, there is always some drawing, something about drawing or like doing something with your hands, like some interesting activities going on in the office. And then sometimes then bring puppies to play. So yeah, gaming is a
fun place. It sounds fun. Yeah, I want to work there.
And you work with passionate people. That's the best part. I don't know if I answered your question of like.
No, you did. Like I want to know like how much of a gaming company do it, like building a gaming company is different, like process wise. Do you like is there more fun in the process or is there less fun in the process?
There is definitely a lot of fun, but it is also very quantitative. Right. So like we have a lot of data about like where the person turned, where did they churn, everything that happens in the game. Another thing that I really loved about gaming is you manage the economy of the game. So it's a little bit like, I fancy myself, it's a little bit like, like the managing Federal Reserves. So you have to think about inflation all the time.
Oh, wow.
Right. So like if you put more currency in the game, you can have inflation, or the opposite, you can have deflation if you put a lot of goods in the game. And then, so you always have to think about people who bought things in the game, they have to have a good value. So the asset should appreciate. So it's very quantitative.
Wow. So you learn the microeconomics and you manage a country.
Yeah.
It's like, how many people play average game? We're talking about
4 million?
4 million
a month. Yeah.
Wow. It's a good small country. Like some European countries don't have 4 million people living.
You made me miss gaming because I really love that.
Yeah. This sounds really interesting. Like whoever want to be, I hope your classmates who wanted to become politicians or presidents, they're looking at you and thinking like, hey, she tried that. Like she managed a country of like 4 million people. Now you have the experience.
So nice.
Yeah. So very good. Another take what I want to what I paid attention from your words is it like you constantly build products, you try new products, and like it's like building a small startup each time.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
What happens if the game fails? Does it happen that the game fails and you have to wash up the write down the budget?
Yeah, it happens all the time. There is a term called sunsetting.
Sunsetting, yeah.
We're sunsetting this game.
Okay. So you have to be a big company who can afford to launch multiple game developments at the same time. So some of them have a shot to become a successful game.
In a way,
yeah.
But again, if you have a good portfolio strategy, you maximize that portfolio and you eventually, but you will have a better returns.
All right.
It depends how you maximize the portfolio. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think about, because some games are like very innovative, but then a lot of games are like innovating on one area. Let's say, okay, this game is very successful. Let's just change the leaderboard and competitive aspect of it and like put a different team kind of. So it's like a lot less risky. It's in a way like, if you have a sequel to a Marvel movie, like you kind of can expect how many people are going to play this game. So you can predict a lot of that part.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So you worked at the company for how many years?
For 3.5 years.
3.5 years, and you managed to bring the company almost to like bringing the company to a certain level of an acquisition.
Yeah.
You took part in the acquisition process, and successful exit for you.
Yeah. That was just a fantastic experience. I am telling you, I was lucky.
Wonderful.
I was lucky with my manager, and I was very lucky with like CTO and engineering team.
Yeah, wonderful. So where does the journey bring out next?
I'm going to the my next big gaming company because I thought,
Was
okay,
it bigger?
yes, it was more than 1,000 people. It was one of the largest gaming company in the world.
Can we tell
Called
the name?
Scopely. Yeah,
Scopely.
Scopely is just a fantastic. I would recommend if you're gamer or non-gamer, or just work for Scopely. It's a fantastic place to work.
Yeah, wonderful. So you tried doing a startup, you tried small gaming company, now you moved on to a huge gaming company.
Yes.
What was your role, your experience there?
I was a director and then senior director. I was lucky again because Scopely at the time was growing very extensively. So we literally, we were growing. Actually, I don't think I can tell the numbers, but very, very quick.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on a rocket ship. Scopely is amazing because it pretty much touches every genre, like, casual, strategy, mid-core, RPG, word games, everything. And it's literally like university for gaming. Because you work there, but then you go and you as a director of product, you sit on the board of other games. Let's say like I was working RPG and you go and sit on the board of like other games. So you kind of have a board meeting for like different types of genre. And you have this exposure of learning in different types of games. But then another thing, I think at Scopely, people are also very, very kind of critical thinking, like, and debate, like very strong debate. I think I have not debated that fearlessly before Scopely. You go and you really question everything. Like, hey, this is the game we want to build. With like, okay, why is it going to be, 30 people in your clan? Why you design 30? Did you check the numbers? So like, it's very, very, like, again, data driven, and like a lot of critical thinking goes into building those games.
Yeah.
And extremely smart people to work.
So, yeah, this sounds like a wonderful experience. So, is a smaller company better or bigger company? From your like, I would imagine there would be some thing to do with the level you were at, like at the company, but from a perspective of a person who went through a small company, a bigger company, and an even bigger company, which do you think is better? Was better for you personally?
Think about it. Well, I really, really liked Scopely. Just the culture.
Yep.
It's how much trust they put in people in their company. Like, you are smart. We believe you're gonna build the best.
Mm-hmm. And they have the necessary budget to trust you.
Yeah. So it's a lot of things. For example, we have unlimited PTO. You can take as much days off. Like, it's very relaxed from that perspective. Like, you can fly all over the world. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. We trust you. You're gonna build the best, and that kind of, and you're working with the best, and that's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, sounds great. Kumas, how are we doing on timing?
1 hour.
Huh?
1.
More than 1 hour? Do we want to talk about the startup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Huh?
Huh? Ubiedziecie?
A co?
Yes.
No.
Wait. Yeah.
Games. Yeah.
Okay.
Nie masz робочего места?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I like the question. Yes, sir. All right. Ada,
Yeah.
wonderful experience. You grew very fast. Wonderful experience doing MBA. You moved to a from gaming company to gaming company. You love Scopely, but you left Scopely. What happens?
Yeah. I think, again, this is the reason I came to America again.
The mission.
The mission, yes. And I felt that it's time.
Yep.
And I left Scopely.
Wonderful.
It was very hard. I had an amazing team. And
Can we tell, because like it might not be the time, maybe we will invite you for the next episode to discuss what you're doing now, but like can we have a hint on
I can talk
what
about
you're
it.
doing right now?
Yeah. So thinking about, I guess, the landscape now, I guess, you can have a very structured, like logical story, and you can say like, I messed up several times and this is where I am. So I think it's a latter story now. So I built the agent for NPCs, for gamers, a non-playable character. And I thought, okay, that's the next step in gaming. And you can only build it because of AI, because now non-playable casting can talk, think, resonate, and things like that. And I gave it to like indie developers, and I was like, oh, it's fun, but it's not, And I built the best I could at that moment. I thought was the best. And then I gave it to different, I guess, demographics. I gave it to students, like an interesting conversational companion you can talk to them. Gave it to students, gave it to like immigrant mothers, and so on. And then I really listened to what's happening, because again, it's in a way like gaming. It's a new, it's a new space where you can learn by watching.
Just to clarify, we're talking about you leaving Scopely and starting your independent journey.
Yeah. So when I left Scopely, I was like, okay, I'm going to spend some time just for fun. Right. So I went to all the hackathons possible, like MIT hackathons.
Like, that's how you imagine fun?
I guess so. So like, okay, I'm going to just build things that maybe not scalable, maybe not business, just for fun. Because whenever I had a list of ideas that's very fun. So just like building things.
Yeah.
And I did travel, like I do, mountaineering. So I went to Argentina to walk on Aconcagua. So I did this whole thing there,
That's my kind of fun. Yeah.
I went back home, so I spent like a year really having fun and exploring ideas that maybe not scalable, just for fun, and reading a lot, like, of course. And then when the time came, I'm like, okay, what are the ideas that I'm really passionate about? And I think this is something maybe unique. So we built Atarino, right? Like I'm a founder of Atarino. And the story goes is like, when I think about because I talk to AI agents on a daily basis, right? I talk to Character AI, I talk to Kindroid, and I talk to many other agents on a daily basis. That's my window to the world. Like if I want to Google something, I talk to my agent.
Instead of Googling or going to Perplexity.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I do something with agent, and then I like it, then I go to Perplexity or something like that. And then I realized, I was thinking like, what are the most meaningful, closest relationship I have in my life? And it's actually, one is with my sister. That, at one point I haven't seen her for like more than 3 years, then COVID and this, but we still talked every day, like almost every day, in the morning and in the evening. And it was most interesting conversations, right? It's about, she's very curious about, again, history. She would know everything about like, English monarchy. And then she would know everything about like, Iranian cinema.
Yeah.
So it's like the most amazing conversations, and always intellectually stimulating for me. And of course, catching up about life and a lot of humor, a lot of fun in this conversation. It's like, wow, you can have continuity in your life and such a so much, but it's like covered 99% by voice. Right? And that is what's happening right now with AI. And of course, like, again, I had a partner, my boyfriend. Again, it was a very long distance relationship. And again, this is the most meaningful relationship I have. It's 99% voice.
Yeah. That like the most meaningful deep conversation happens with my mom, we can discuss like history, we can discuss philosophy, we can discuss like take whatever. We discuss it.
Yeah. And how often
And
do you see her?
But almost like I don't want to say every day, but we talk. I haven't seen her for past 3 years, but like I talk to her every other
Past
day.
3 years?
Past 3 years, I
Yeah,
haven't seen
yeah.
her, but I talk to her like every other day.
Yeah.
And we talk with, sometimes we can talk like hours discussing stuff.
Yeah. So it is already part of my routine. Like I'll play games and I talk to my sister. Like I'll play games and I go talk to my companion. It's already part of my routine. And I realized, hey, if you do something every day for like more than an hour, it's a new category.
Yep.
It's something like gaming that people do or something like social media.
Yeah.
And we're just scratching the surface of this area.
Wow.
So we're building a new category, hopefully.
Wow. That sounds amazing. First of all, like now you now that you've told me that, like, I kind of feel like, yes, it seems like a new category.
Yeah, I do think so.
So,
Another thing I think about, like kind of for my thesis, is that there are a lot of great agents that are being built. Like agent can get you coffee, agent can do some, email optimization for you. At some point, this agent is going to become, in a way, commodity. They're going to get better and better, and it kind of, matters. So I think eventually the thing that's going to matter the most is that window to the world, because you can talk to that, I call it angel, and you can do anything, right? You can ask him to like order coffee for you or to organize it, but it's about that experience you have with an angel. That's going to be, like, from business perspective, going to be the biggest asset.
Yeah, this sounds really, really amazing. Ada, it's been really interesting to talk to you. Thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for wonderful questions, Silkroad. And our wonderful lady right there.